For over a month, the combined air forces of the United States and Israel have operated with total supremacy over Iranian airspace. They have systematically dismantled the country's air defenses, decimated its surface fleet, and are currently leveling senior command centers across the interior. America Asman me ye jung jithra. But despite that aerial dominance, Washington is failing to counter the one weapon that actually matters: this narrow stretch of water. The White House is deploying high-tech stealth bombers against a target that cannot be destroyed by precision munitions. They are fighting an economic war, a separate conflict where the goal is to prevent the total collapse of global markets. This is the Strait of Hormuz. At its narrowest point, shipping lanes are compressed into a bottleneck just 54 kilometers wide. Every industrial economy depends on tankers transiting these waters. 1/5 of the global supply of oil and gas passes through this single channel daily. Iran has effectively closed the strait without using a single warship. By launching sporadic strikes against merchant vessels, they have created enough risk that insurance companies now refuse to cover the ships, triggering the largest oil supply shock ever recorded. The Iranian regime is weaponizing its own borders. The country is naturally shielded by the Zagros Mountains, a high-altitude fortress that protects their mobile launch sites from ground incursions. From hidden bunkers along this coastline, they deploy low-tech, expendable tools like this Shahed drone. They don't need a sophisticated navy. They only need to keep firing these cheap munitions to keep the strait a lethal gauntlet. This chart displays the math of a lopsided war of attrition. An Iranian drone costs roughly $20,000. To destroy the sites launching them, the U.S. is firing Tomahawk missiles that cost $4 million each. Air supremacy cannot remove a geographic advantage. No amount of billion-dollar technology can permanently clear a shipping lane that is flanked by thousands of kilometers of rugged, defensible terrain. The U.S. military is rapidly exhausting its stock of advanced interceptors. In just the first 2 weeks of fighting, they fired more than a quarter of their entire global supply of THAAD and Patriot missiles, munitions that will take years to replace. As military stockpiles drop, global oil prices are climbing, surging past $100 a barrel toward $140. This acts as a tax on the entire economy. If this trajectory holds, Western inflation will climb to 6%, erasing years of recovery. Iran's strategy is simple. They don't have to defeat the U.S. Navy in combat. They only need to endure the airstrikes until the economic damage forces the West to negotiate on Iranian terms. The longer the strait remains closed, the higher the probability of a global recession. Time is the one asset the U.S. military cannot replenish. If you were the U.S. president, you would find yourself facing a crisis with no good outcomes. Your administration has 3 primary options, and each one carries a heavy cost. Option 1 is to negotiate while the strait is still closed. This would give Iran the leverage to demand an end to all sanctions, turning the entire war into a strategic defeat for Washington. Option 2 is a full ground invasion. This map shows the scale. Iran is 4 times larger than Iraq. To secure this territory, the U.S. would need over 1 million soldiers, an occupation force that would likely require a return of the military draft. Option 3 is a limited seizure of Iranian territory, like Karg Island. This site handles 90% of Iran's oil exports, and taking it would cut off the regime's primary source of funding. But seizing an island doesn't stop drones launched from the mainland, and a battle here would likely destroy the very infrastructure the U.S. is trying to protect, causing an even more severe global oil shortage. The administration is trapped. Every military solution either deepens the economic crisis or commits the country to a ground war that it is not prepared to fight. The Pentagon began this campaign with the assumption that overwhelming air power would force a regime collapse in a matter of days. That initial strategy has proven to be a significant miscalculation. The U.S. expected a quick victory, but instead they have entered a war of attrition. Just as Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine stalled into a grinding multi-year conflict, this air war has failed to achieve its primary objective. This exhaustion is visible on the flight decks. The USS Gerald R. Ford has been at sea for nearly 300 days, surpassing deployment records from the Vietnam War as the Navy struggles to maintain a presence in the region. Despite the loss of senior leadership, the Iranian regime has grown more hardline. They have consolidated power and are betting that their domestic stability can outlast the political patience of the American public. The most powerful military in history has reached a hard limit at this 54-kilometer stretch of water. Raw geography and global oil prices have achieved a strategic checkmate that bombs alone cannot break. Will the US find a diplomatic path out of this crisis, or is this the beginning of a conflict that will reshape the global economy for decades? कमेंट करके बताइए आपका क्या सोचना है। वीडियो को लाइक करें, शेयर करें और इन-डेप्थ जियोपॉलिटिकल एनालिसिस के लिए सब्सक्राइब करें। जय हिंद।